Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Hustle, the recruitment podcast where we chat to people about how they work smarter and get further. Today, we've got Rich Evans in the hot seat. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. Good to see you both, as always.
Yeah, and joining me is my handsome co-host, Fraser Graham.
You didn't call me handsome.
Yeah, well, maybe later. Fraser's done a podcast previously as well on this platform, so go and check out if you haven't already. Rich dragged us all the way to sunny Leeds for this one. It was the worst drive of my life, but good to see you, mate, so it's worth it. But yeah, Rich is the founder of HFC Group, Investment Group, a guy basically who scaled, built and exited a seven-figure agency, now runs a portfolio of businesses and mentors founders with no fluff, no fake guru nonsense. So I don't know if you remember or anyone watched Humble Billings, but I always would bring on my guest's favourite drink. So today, Rich recommended Faith Northern Monk. Do you want to tell us about that, mate? It's nice though, actually.
Tastes good, yeah. What do you think?
It's like a brew dog, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brewed in Holbeck, I believe, which is about...
Is that local, is
about
it?
3 minutes from here, yeah.
Northern Monk, it makes sense, right.
Yeah,
by monks, do you reckon it's brewed by them?
Not anymore, I don't think. But you never know.
Never know. So yeah, look, I mean... Today, we're going to be talking about investing in founders the right way. I suppose like what it really takes to scale without losing your mind or your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to dive into. So I suppose starting off is a quick fire warm-up. Who is Rich Evans, right? So zero experience to, I suppose, a seven-figure agency exit.
That's a deep question. Is this like therapy?
Yeah.
Who is Rich Evans? Do you want to get more specific?
Talk to me. I mean, you know, from zero experience to scaling and exiting a seven-figure agency, like, what stemmed that? Like, how did you? Yeah, talk.
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
that makes sense, mate. That makes sense. So, it depends how far back we want to go, but let's just go back to, I suppose, adulthood, or the start of adulthood. So, I went to university, like a lot of people did in my town, just to get out of the town.
Yeah.
Like,
where did you go?
Leeds.
Okay.
So I lived in a small seaside town called Bridlington. It's all right in summer because it's got a decent beach, but apart from that, there's not much going on there. So a lot of people from, and there might be some listening, but a lot of people from Brid who I grew up with, like, we went to uni just to fucking get out of there, where there'd be some other stuff going on, probably for nights out and all the rest of it as well. But yeah, I studied PE of all things, which... yeah, obviously you've done absolutely nothing with. So it's probably good to understand kind of like that little bit of backstory. So you hear a lot of people on these podcasts, it's like, oh, yeah, mate, I was just an entrepreneur. Like, I was at school selling fucking sweets and had all these little side hustles on and businesses.
Did any of us do that? Sweets in school?
No, but
I didn't.
I used to haggle down the guy who did sell sweets in school.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't think I did that. I was just like kicking a ball about, like do the lessons, go and kick a ball about, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, no like glamorous story from that perspective or like massive like entrepreneurial stuff. And in terms of like my parents as well, like my mum worked in a college. She started off as a receptionist, but ended up working her way up. So I'd seen kind of like when I was like 10, 11, like she was a receptionist, but by the time she was retired, she was like ops director of a college.
Okay.
So they were grafters. Like my parents were grafters. Like when I was 10, my dad was a doorman. Like, and then he went back to university, ended up working in HR of all things for a doorman. You wouldn't think that, would you? Like loads of tattoos, like pretty hard bloke, and then he's working in human resources. So that's kind of like where I came from essentially. But got to Leeds, did the university thing. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after that. Like, I had loads of jobs. Like, worked on... My mates had building firms and stuff like that, like removals firms. So, did all sorts in, like, the summers at university and after university, working on porter cabins and painting and decorating, and then bar jobs, and then ultimately got into, like, the more, like, working world after university. And it was, like, I ended up doing door-to-door sales.
Okay. That was your step into...
That was my first sales job. So it was a guy called Ryan Hudson, who I'm still mates with now. He'd hoodwinked me into it. I didn't know him at the time, but I'd seen a job advert. It didn't say what it was. Turned up, next thing I'm fucking knocking on doors of council estates around Leeds. And like, never done sales in my life, but like, broke the record in the first week. I'm like, fucking hell, I'm all right at this.
What was your tactic?
Just like taking the
Don't
piss, I
stop
think.
knocking.
Yeah. Actually knocking on doors, but I think just a little bit of maybe humour or being relatable or whatever.
Trying the back door, stuff like that. Yeah.
I won't even tell my pitch because it's probably a bit un-PC, but it went down well on council estates in Leeds, basically. And we were selling, it was easy, if I'm honest. We were selling Sky TV. At the time, HD TVs had come out, and it wasn't HD because you needed an HD box to make it work. It was just before one of the World Cups, and it was just like, it was, if I'm honest, it was easy. It was good fun. So that kind of got me into sales, and I only did it to save up some money to go travelling. And then, had a few different sales jobs, went travelling, came back, had some sales jobs, and then got into recruitment. So worked in recruitment. Again, me being me, did it for a year, thought, I can do this. So
you can do this yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's, is it bold then?
It was actually called Bold, but it was basically, I was working for a recruitment business who were desperate to attract graduates, good graduates. So I thought, well, if these guys are, and they've got like 6-7 offices, there's going to be other people who are as well. So I was only young. I think I had a year's recruitment experience. So that was my first taste of like entrepreneurship. I was like, I'll go and do this. And my director at the time, who was a massive influence on me as well, which I don't mind naming, a guy called Stan Murray Hessian. Learned a lot from him. Great bloke. Got a lot of respect for him. But like, if any of the guys from the Leeds office are listening, like, to go to the toilet, we had to come back past the meeting rooms to get into the main office. So when I'd handed my notice in, every time I went to the toilet, we were fucking sat in a meeting room. It was like, Evans here. It was just like, and again, I'm sure he won't mind me saying it, but like, called me every name under the sun. You fucking crazy. Like, you won't make it. And I knew he was obviously wanting to keep me. I think he said, and he was good influence was Stan, and he nearly got me. He said, I want you to go home tonight and think of 2 reasons why you shouldn't do this. I thought, he's trying a bit of NLP on me here. Like, so my answer in my head was, well, 2 reasons why other people wouldn't do it is a pair of bollocks. But I didn't dare say that.
2 reasons.
So, but anyway, so that was that. So I started that business, and made some money, enjoyed it. But while I was running that business, I worked with a couple of like web firms, marketing firms, and stuff like that. And I suppose wasn't happy with the service that I was getting, and also thought like these guys don't get recruitment, so they were used to doing maybe like websites and marketing for different types of firms, and I was like, these guys don't really get it, and I was like, it seems like there's a gap in the market here. So again, spotted an opportunity, never done anything to do with websites, branding, marketing, obviously passionate about business, so I'd always like read a lot and taken a lot of interest in that type of stuff because it's obviously what it's all about at the end of the day. So I partnered with someone, and the strategy was, I'll flog them, you build them, and that was it. Flogged a few, built a few, and then grew a business from that.
Okay.
Obviously Bold, we did well. We were niche, we worked in the recruitment sector, did well in the UK, the US, for about, I think it was about 5-6 years by the time I got to the point where I exited that, essentially. So
with Bold then, like, on your LinkedIn it says you managed to scale it without any investment.
Yeah.
How did you manage to do that?
I suppose kind of like self-invested as well. So
right.
I'd, with the early recruitment business, made some money. So I was all right personally.
Yeah.
So kind of like use the profits from that to start this. And also employed someone there as well. So they were still billing in the background. So the early days of starting this business, it was a bit like I was still getting paid from that one. So kind of use that as a stepping stone. And that kind of taught me quite quickly about like leverage. It's like, oh, this is good. And I think I work with a lot of people now. And sometimes I was leverage at one member of staff and like 6-figure turnover. Whereas like I work with some people who are multi-millions and they still aren't benefiting enough from leverages yet. And what I mean by that is making sure the business has the right systems in place and the right people in place that actually you can step away from it and it still makes money. So it was quite an early lesson. It's like, this is all right. This is good. And getting the right people and stuff on board to be able to do that. which probably influenced kind of like how we built Bold as well. Like promoted leaders quickly, put the right systems in place, like made sure people were accountable and had ownership and all that type of stuff. Because the amount of businesses I look at, and again, I'm maybe lucky for certain experiences or whatever in the past, but again, look at a lot of businesses, it's like, yeah, from the outside looking in, turning over multi-millions, like driving fucking great cars, decent headcount, like 20 members of staff or whatever. And on LinkedIn, it looks fucking amazing. But trust me, when you're mentoring those guys, more is just more stress and more hard work. And for me, that's why sometimes I think you see, whether it's a recruitment market or any other market, that people will scale, but then they're like, fuck this, and scale back because they're like, well, I made more money when it was just one or two of us than with 15 staff. And all I've got is like, I don't want to take on more people because it's more stress. So there is a methodology of building a business properly. And obviously you can get advice, you can read in books and that, but I think you only really learn it by doing it.
Yeah, making them mistakes.
But there is and again, I'm guilty of oversimplifying things, but I think for me it's about simplifying all the macro stuff because a business is very simple and we can get into that, but then really fucking sweating the small stuff that comes below that, all the micro stuff. And obviously, once you've got that picture in the head, you can spend an hour with pretty much any business owner and have quite a clear plan quite quickly and spot where the gaps are. So I'm sure we'll get onto some of that stuff as well, but that explains a little of my journey. Obviously, post-Bold as well. Kind of like got into the consultancy thing. I say by accident, but like, yeah, a few people started saying, will you help us out? I was like, yeah, go on then.
Why do you think that they registered interest in you for to help them out? Like what? Where'd that come from? Mainly
because I probably helped them out anyway. Like people that are new in business or people that were maybe a little bit earlier in the journey that I'd already helped them out a little bit, like value. Free or like we'd become mates over the years or whatever. And then they were like, you're a free agent now, Rich, so can we make this formal? So yeah, ultimately that's probably where that stems from. And then, yeah, zigzagged a little bit since, but kind of like got to, within a few years, like got to, you're learning something new, do you know what I mean? Like, I was brand new again, like learning a new career as a fucking consultant or advisor or whatever you want to call it. So, again, when you do something new, like, you're shit at it. You've got to admit that. So it's a kind of like learning the ropes and also learning what you like doing in that as well. So tried loads of different ways of working, but like, it's the investments, it's the one-to-one stuff, it's like the really intimate, getting under the bonnet stuff that gets me. I kind of like drank the Kool-Aid of do these group stuff and communities and all this type of stuff, and it's more profitable, and it was like, but it wasn't fulfilling. So it's just like, it's just kind of like fucking, it's a bit one size fits all rather than working individually with people.
Yeah. So what is HFC then? Like, what is it? You got 9+ businesses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 9 or 10 now. Yeah. So ultimately, we help people start businesses. I say we because sometimes I'll JV with other people, other entrepreneurs as well. So doing a little bit with Chris Peace and Tristan and all that type of stuff as well. Yeah, we help them start, but we're also, if someone has started a business and then hit those like ceilings or whatever, and yeah, they're already profitable, often coming into those type of deals as well now, where it's like we'll bring both capital and experience to help them. It's always just a case of like, can we help you go quicker? Can we help you go easier? If it's yes, then it's a good deal. So yeah, that's where we're at. But I love the JV stuff because it's like skin in the game. We're fucking in this together type thing.
Yeah.
I suppose when you're starting a business and advising people on setting up, it's super crucial that they have the right people around them. So when you were setting up Bold, you brought on a tech guy along yourself as like a co-founder. Is that right?
Yeah.
How did you know he was the right guy?
So he actually worked at one of the agencies that I weren't too happy with, but I liked him, and he was a developer. We got on really well, and yeah, it wasn't like there'd be people listening to this who'd like, no, Tom, like he's not like your standard techie, he's a fucking right laugh. Like we got on, we were both quite young. I think just before Harrison, I'd say. So yeah, we had some fun along the way in the early days, and kept each other going in one way or another. So yeah, I think again probably not too much strategy behind it. Then I was young and wet behind the ears as well. Like my criteria was like, I like you and you can build websites. I was like, if you like me, I can sell them.
A lot of people go in, I feel, go in quite alone. So they'll start up a business and they just go in alone. Do you know what I mean? They don't use the network. They don't use people they know.
Yeah.
Or ask for advice as well. There's, what's that saying? If you ask for advice, you get money. If you ask for money, you get advice. And you've always been super helpful, just for myself, advice when I need it. But like, is there any crucial person that springs to mind that's helped you in your early stages of your career?
Yeah, definitely had like influences along the way. So the chap who I mentioned earlier, there's probably loads of people to be fair, but starting out the recruitment business, big influence on me in terms of like the way he operated and stuff like that. He was a pretty scary bloke to be fair, but I warmed to it. And maybe some other people didn't, but he taught me a lot. Taught me a lot in terms of like, probably didn't realise that actual business taught me a lot. Like it was a machine, it was a system. And it might not sound great from a culture perspective, but it was system dependent and metrics dependent and not people dependent. So kind of like, unfortunately, that's what a good business looks like. Like,
but do you not think then? So do you not think some people's brains are like machines as well? So that whole coachability side of things, if you ought to put systems in place, but ultimately the byproduct, the person who's pushing that is the person.
Yeah.
You know, so without the person, you can't have them systems.
Yeah, 100%. You need the right people.
Yeah.
But if we take recruitment, for example, and let's say we've got a small recruitment business with 10 people, 8 billers in it, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, and you do see it as well. It's a case of it's built in a fashion that the founder was probably a good biller and had a network of people, and then his network or her network has attracted more people to the business, and all of a sudden you've got a very profitable, good business. But that could be built on sand a little bit, because if 1 or 2 people leave, then the next people leave. It's like, okay, we're literally, the value of this business is in the value of the people. So we're talking about value and the foundations of it here. So yeah, I don't want you to take it the wrong way. Like, people are super important.
Yeah.
Super, super important. But it's a case of that we need to build businesses that, do you know what, if some people do move on, that all that hard work is a compounding asset for the business, rather than, oh, fucking hell, it's back to square one again.
Question: if can a business owner not be a good biller? Like, the background, did he have to be a strong biller?
In terms of if I was going to invest in them,
Just anyone, like, you know, I've listened to a few podcasts before, and they've openly said, these owners of these businesses, you know, 100, 200 heads, that I was never a good biller.
Yeah.
But they're very good at managing or leading people.
Yeah.
And that was their pivoting point to maybe hire people who were good at that.
Yeah.
And spearhead it.
Yeah, I think obviously it's all depends is always the answer to every fucking question, isn't it? However, I mean, the answer is no. It don't have to be. So I've invested in someone who's never done recruitment, never done sales, never done marketing, never run a business, and everyone's like, why have you done that, you idiot? But I knew we would be. Like, we could help and teach that stuff.
Yeah.
He's gone on and done really well. It's, I think, in the early days of running a business, again, depending on, like, if they've got, I don't know, £500,000 investment, then it's a bit different, because you can just hire good billers straight away. But if we've got a little bit of investment to get started and cover operating expenses and the founder's salaries for this first 6 months, and typically how I work, by the way, like, I'm not chucking like 500 grand at people. We're talking like, what do you need for 6 months to live on, and what do we need for 6 months operating expenses to get by? Because as long as we get our heads down, we'll be making money by then. So in that situation, it's a bit like, you need to be willing to sell, because that's the first 6 months is we're going out there and winning clients on.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
But again, that can hold you back later on, because if you're only a good biller and you don't start leveraging systems and people and process and all that type of stuff, that's where you see a lot of good billers try and build a business, go back to one, build a business, go back to one. So it's a good question, and we could probably spend 60 minutes talking just about that.
I suppose to expand on that then, what would you say most early stage founders get wrong?
I think playing CEO too quickly.
Even if it's a one-man band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So playing CEO too quickly. So all of a sudden they love the job title, like, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. And it's like, you're not yet.
Instagram posts, founder in the bio.
And I'm not saying like playing it from an ego perspective, like, do what you fucking want, it is what it is.
Start carrying a briefcase.
In terms of their job, it's like they're getting sidetracked with all these like fancy tasks and other things and all that type of stuff. Like, in business, like, there's 2 things that really matter, particularly in the early stages. A business is, for me, like, again, don't want to like oversimplified the complex, but ultimately, if we break down what a business is, it's three engines. That's it. But the first two matter first. Number one is revenue. How do we win business? And we need to nail that system. Number two is delivery. How do we deliver on the promise that we've made to win this business? That is it. Just fucking get good at that and focus just on that, particularly for the early days. So ultimately, it's making sure that people are allocating the time in the right places, because that's the most limited resource in the first few years of business is the people's time, essentially.
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake is getting distracted with stuff that isn't moving the needle on those two things, and that should just be the sole focus. The third engine later on down the line is operations. So obviously, how do we attract staff? How do we retain staff? How do we onboard them? All that type of stuff as well. But first and foremost, let's just concentrate on those two. And I think it's easy, isn't it? We're getting information as a new business owner chucked at us from LinkedIn all the time. This is how you should do this, and this is how you should do this. And then you read a new book, and then you watch a new podcast and whatever. And it's all of a sudden, as a founder, you're doing all this shit that you don't really need to be doing yet.
Yeah.
So that just ruthless focus is kind of the make or break for me.
So to simplify it, just quicker to how to scale a business is just getting money in the bank as quickly as possible.
Getting money in the bank and delivering on what you've been paid for. So I always say, if you do what you say you're going to do plus a little bit more, you're in the top fucking 5% of businesses. And then obviously that starts compounding. So you've probably heard me talk about it before, and I've probably mentioned to you guys, evidence is the real fucking multiplier. Everyone's trying to sell 24/7. Everyone's trying to make crazy promises with some ridiculous guarantee to win business and all that type of stuff. Nah, go and do what you said you were going to do, plus a little bit more. Go and get the evidence from that person, get a testimonial, and then go to people who had a similar problem as them. Look, I've dealt with someone just like you with just your problem, and here's what I did for them, and here's the real fucking evidence behind it. Gets easier then.
Yeah.
And again, it's just focusing on this stuff first and foremost, and it all compounds basically. So sales is important, but doing what you said you're going to fucking do once you've sold is super, super important as well.
Yeah, creating them case studies is pretty key.
On the candidate side of things, so of course, if you get those case studies, go to clients, it's great for credibility on that side.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of recruiters out there that are a bit hesitant to put testimonials on LinkedIn, for example, on the candidate side, because then they're somewhat paranoid that there's other recruiters out there who are going to see that they're working with that client, and then the paranoia sets in, that other recruiter is going to go and take my account.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's still worth putting out there?
100%, yeah. And obviously it's all pros versus cons, but ultimately, if someone wants to fucking win your business, they're going to win your business anyway. Don't tell me just because they've seen a candidate testimonial that they're at your business. Everyone's at your business anyway, so be good. Be good at what you do. So when they do try and win your business, it's no, I'm sorted.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your one-to-one mentoring process like?
We will always... It's different for different people and different situations, essentially. But ultimately, we'll always start really getting under the bonnet and understanding where the gaps are. So it's quite painful at first. Even when we're doing the impact board stuff, not yesterday, the day before, it's I'm really sorry, guys, you're not enjoying this.
When you say under the bonnet, though, what do you mean by that? Looking at the engine?
Yeah, so looking at where, doing a good review of, where the business is at.
Okay.
So ultimately, yeah. So first thing I would do is exactly what you've just said there, to be fair, Callum. It's okay, let's look at these engines. How do you take someone from not having a fucking clue who you are to signing a proposal and paying your invoice? And ultimately, at first, it's a case of, we do a bit of this and we do a bit of this, and then sometimes we do this and sometimes we do this. It's let's look at this properly. What is the very first thing that would happen? And it might be that might be a mix of, it's all advertising, whether it's cold calls, whether it's cold outreach, whether it's podcasts, whether it's paid media. It's understanding how we get people to know who we are in the first place. Yeah. What happens next? What happens next? What happens next? What happens next? What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? And just mapping all that out. Because we can't make any progress unless we know where we need to shift the dials. So a lot of the time it's let's understand what you do now, and then we can look at, there'll be naturally some obvious stuff that hopefully we can go, okay, well, this looks like this area could be better and this area could be better. But again, it's diagnosing what are going to get the right results at the same time. And then the same on the delivery side, and the same if it's a bit of a bigger business, the operation side of things.
So looking at the engine then is like a functionality perspective, but would you ever then look at how the engine's engineered, like the person, the mindset? Because I know you go deep into that too.
Yeah, 1,000%. So in terms of the business, I call it the business review, but there's all that type of stuff in there as well in terms of energy, focus, passion for the business, purpose, and also starting to look at like personal habits and all that type of stuff as well. So ultimately, I like to work with founders because, like you say, as you mentioned earlier, it's the system's important, but the people's important. Might have the best system in the world, but if the founder's head's an absolute shed, then they're not going to be delivered on either. So yeah, 100%.
I suppose off that then, like how would you help someone move from overwhelmed to in control?
Yeah, good question. And obviously it depends again.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, I think one of the guys put a post on this the other day, didn't tag me. I don't know why, I should have done. But a lot of the time it's them understanding what they're going through is fucking normal. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm like, you're supposed to feel like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay. Because as founders, like, one, like, a lot of our family or friends might not understand what we're going through. And then sometimes, like, yeah, we might have a bit of a network, but we're not that close to them. So we don't open up that much and all that type of stuff. So, like, having someone in your corner who's like, if it's my job to make sure you're open up, otherwise we're not going to get results. But a lot of the time it's a case of, like, making them understand it's normal, and anxiety is killed by action. So when you've got someone in your corner who knows what action should be taken next, then hopefully that starts getting over that overwhelm feeling as well. But overwhelm is just, it's made up, isn't it? It's intangible. Like, it's absolutely intangible, and we all get it. I'm not saying that I don't get it, and I don't get anxious about stuff and all that.
It's an emotion. Like, it's a natural human feeling, isn't it? Like, you actually...
We create it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's that you can't catch it.
Yeah.
So it's something that if we create it, then we can deal with it.
Yeah. I suppose on the mentoring side of things then, like, just putting it in the perspective of a founder, they've got no one to hold them accountable. So I suppose that's where you position yourself, right? But where's the line between holding someone accountable versus like micromanagement?
Yeah.
Like, is there a line there between that?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm all for accountability, but it's not like, I'm sure we've all had bosses and stuff, and it's just a case of like, what are your numbers like?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you should be fucking doing more. Like, it's not about that, is it? It's about then why aren't they getting done? And that could be up there, it could be a business problem or whatever. So it's understanding, like, why aren't we on track with stuff and all the rest of it as well. And also motivating people. Like, a lot of people who I start with, it's like, okay, let's sit down and look at your vision. Like, what's your vision? It's like, well, I want to build a business and I want to sell it one day. Like, that's not a vision. Like, by this day, in 3 years' time, where do you want to be?
And then reverse engineer.
But also the next exercise that I typically do with a business owner is design your own job. It's like, what? I'm like, I want you to design your own job, because you can't wear all these hats forever. If you could do just 3 things in the business, what would you be doing? Well, I'd love just to be like networking and speaking to the clients and bringing in high value deals. Like, cool, that's all right. I'd love to be coaching the staff. Okay, that's all right. And they might say something else like, right, well, that's what we aim for then, because it's super important. It's not sustainable to build a business doing the shit that you hate and also the shit that you're not very good at. So first and foremost, let's get a very, very clear vision in terms of what the business looks like, who you're serving, what the turnover is, and all that. And sometimes you might start there, and again, it's pie in the sky. Like, I want to do £1 billion. I'm just like, let's be realistic. Like, in 3 years, where we're going to be, like, realistic. As long as we have a good run and things compound, like, you can probably do more than you initially think. But, like, let's not bullshit. Like, the amount of people are like, oh, we'll have £1 billion business and stuff. I'm like, fucking hell, what? Have you discovered some, like, unique algorithm or tech platform? Because we're running service businesses here. Like, let's be realistic about it. But also, let's make sure we're pushing to make sure we get what we want. But that designing your own job is a very, very important bit.
Yeah. I think that might come from like imposter syndrome, right? Where, you know, I don't see it as a problem being having that vision as such a big thing. But when it's so far fetched from reality, I suppose you're then bringing them back to a grounding point.
Yeah, I like 3 years. There's a lot you can do in 3 years, a hell of a lot. Whereas, yeah, we might have this big picture goal that we've got yachts and, yeah, £100 million villas in
I'd love a yacht,
wherever.
by the way. I'd absolutely. That's
Yeah,
one of
same,
my
mate.
goals.
I'm not a car man, so I've got the camper van and stuff, but I don't get motivated by cars.
But would you work your way up? Because for me, I want
a yacht though.
I want a barge and then work my way up to a yacht.
Yeah. I think it's if I got a barge, I'd just fucking chill. I love them as well. So then the yacht wouldn't happen, would it?
It'd be a good little office.
You need to barge then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
An office barge would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Just get a barge and start a business.
Yeah. We can go literally from where I live to Manchester, so it'd be like, Callum, I'm coming over, mate. I'll see you in 3.5 weeks, yeah?
Yeah, literally. I know, yeah. I mean, next question would be, obviously, while we're on this topic of you coaching, mentoring individuals, i.e. founders, etc., what makes you decide someone's coachable? Because there must be people that you either approach or they approach you, I'm not sure what the dynamic is, that you actually go, this isn't right.
Yeah, so you put investment on your LinkedIn profile, you get a lot of people approaching you. There's a lot of people who, maybe just want a bit of a cash influx for whatever reason. But ultimately, the way I work is different. Like, I'm not investing in you unless I'm in your business. Like, and we're going on this journey together. Ultimately, it's a dating process. I always call it a dating process. Like, I need to get to know people, and a little bit like old school recruitment, man. Like, how do you find out? Just candidate control. Like, you give them a little bit to do, see how quickly they do it, see if they do what they say they're going to do. Do that multiple times, basically, and obviously use your recruitment spidey senses that you develop over time as well, where you can see through a lot of the bullshit as well. So it's not a million miles away from that type of stuff. It's just a bit of a longer and more intense process. But am I saying like I'm 100% get it right all the time? No, I am actually very lucky with the guys that I'm working with, because they are all great people. They're all building some good businesses. However, it is a case of making sure that dating process is right. And it might be a case of that I'll do a couple of things with them first. It's like, okay, let's have a look at your vision. Go away, do this work. Get back to us, or do a goal setting exercise. And go away and have a look at this goal setting exercise and come back to me. And it's a bit like, if they don't do it, then I'm not going to work with them. So
it's like an initiation, like testing the commitment before you jump in bed with them, basically.
Yeah, basically, mate, exactly that. And it's important for like the paid stuff, not even the JV stuff as well. Like, I don't want to be working with anyone that's paying me that isn't going to get results, because it's then my name on the door, isn't it? So it's important to make sure you're working with the right people. But obviously you do get better at it. But as with anything, like, however good you get at anything, sometimes stuff slips through the net as well.
I think anyone that joins your business from not a sales perspective, maybe operations, your accountant, someone who's giving you advice, whatever it may be, anyone who's got a finger on the pulse within the dynamics of the core structure, I think it is a marriage, isn't it? Like, you've got to have the right accountant, you've got to have someone who sees and understands what you're doing and actually wants to help you as well, like working for you, maybe as a client rather than the wider angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does. And like choosing your suppliers, choosing your staff, choosing your mentors, advisors, like whatever it is, it's all make or break. Like, it's super important. But also you can fail fast as well. Like, you can fail fast with stuff if you get it wrong. Like, I don't get sunk cost fallacy. I was having this conversation with a couple of guys yesterday. Like, I don't feel like I suffer that much from sunk cost fallacy, and I think that's a dangerous trap to get in.
What do you mean by that?
Where, like, you start something and you think, well, I've put this energy into it, or if we were talking about the dating world, that you've been with someone for a year, kind of in back of your mind, it's not right and it's never going to work out, but you spent a year with them and you've met the parents and you get on with like a couple of the mates and all that. It's like all this energy is good. Dog's cute, and it's like where it's a bit like, well, if it's not going to work, just fucking stop. But
that's emotional, isn't it? A lot of decisions in business tend to be stemmed from emotion, which is the wrong way to do it. And it's how would you recommend someone does that? Because again, we were talking about someone feeling overwhelmed. You can't help how you feel.
No.
Right? If you're invested in someone or something, there's always going to be a string of emotion attached to whatever that is. So
Yeah, my weakness is probably the opposite.
Okay.
Like, I'll get
Stone
fucking
cold
excited.
killer.
Well, no. Like,
Alright.
just a different opposite emotion. Like, I'll fucking get excited. I'll meet someone I'll like, I fucking like these.
Okay.
And obviously, as time's gone on and I've got older or whatever, like, because I'm aware of it, I'm saying it here, naturally, that helps. But, like, I fucking, you probably know, it's probably why we all get on as well. It's like, good vibes, man, let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that does go somewhere, but it also needs some logic behind it as well. So, yeah. And I think it kind of comes back to one of your points earlier, like, a good advisor, that's where they're worth the weight in gold as well, because they're not emotionally attached to, they've got no sunk cost fallacy. They've not implemented this strategy that you spend loads of money on and 9 months of energy on that isn't working. They haven't got a relationship with, like, some of your staff and all that type of stuff. So
you work with,
it's like fucking pure logic.
Yeah, straight talking logic without having to maybe like ask the question. You're just telling them, which some people need. What traits tells you this person is investable? Investable.
Really, and again, like with you guys doing what you guys do as well. Again, quite similar. There'll be some similarities. So I'm less about skill and more about will. Like we can sort the skills out. And a lot of the time, it's actually harder if they're less of a blank canvas, because it's like we've always done things this way, and then it's harder to retrospectively get them to change to do things a better way.
Has this changed over time? So when you made your first investment, was it more looking at the person, like, have they got the skill? But now that you're a little bit further into what you've been doing, you've understood that it's actually more about the will in the person?
Yeah, less. No, I think. Yeah, you'd probably think that, but. No, I've kind of always been that mindset a little bit. Like, if someone's got the right attitude and the right person, it's like, and they're coachable and moldable, like, you can fucking do what you want. Like, we've got everything at, like, we live in such a great day and age. Like, forget, like, even pre-AI. Like, if we want to learn something, it's not far, the information isn't far from our fingertips.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube, books, like, podcasts, like, I absolutely fucking, just, like, in my early 20s and 20s, like, just self-learned a lot of stuff.
What was your favourite book?
That's a really good question, mate. So there was a couple, but one was, it's different now, but one that really got me on the entrepreneur's journey, I was working in that recruitment job, was one by this wacky guy in America called James Altucher. I don't really see him kicking about a lot now. It was called Choose Yourself.
Okay.
And that had a big impact on me, that book. I recommend to read it, actually. It's not one that I hear many other people speak about. But there was a bit of business, like finance in there, but it was also like managing yourself and like choosing yourself and blah, 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 and tactics how to do it. Fucking good book, actually. I've not even thought about it for ages.
What's yours? What's your favourite book?
The Almanac of Naval Ravikant.
Brilliant.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken about that before.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for just like life, health, business, everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like a Bible.
What's yours, Cal?
I've never read a book in my life fully. I can't do it. I think I can do it because you can't never do nothing. Like you can do anything you want, but I genuinely lose interest. So for me, if I'm not interested in something, I can't commit to it.
Yeah.
But I feel that I can learn enough just by reading the blurb. I know it sounds daft, but like if I just get a summary of the book, my mind can already pull together, the different avenues of how they get to that.
You can with a lot. You're right. And also with like AI now as well. Like if you recommend me a book, I'm probably going to quiz AI about it first and pull out all the key actions. And again, I can't get through many books nowadays. But I think I did when I was younger because I was a bit like, I fucking don't know anything. I need to know it all.
I'd love to. I'd love to read more books.
No, I just can't.
book.
A lot of it's just repeating like old stuff.
Well, there is value in good books. I just think that a lot of these self-development books, they take 200 to 400 pages to make one point that could have been like a blog post or an email.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to read the whole thing. So like Cal said, you can just read a blurb or a summary and you've understood it.
Yeah.
You get the point.
My missus, like, she's read every entrepreneur, self-investment book there is, even when it comes down to like therapy, meditation, like she's read it all. But I feel like I've read them just from speaking to her, from being around her, and maybe
she's
the
talking to you about it. And
the value. No, not even that. Just absorbing the values she practices on a day-to-day basis. Like I can sort of I'm like a sponge in a way.
Yeah.
But I do know that if I was to figure out how to. Like, I can read, by the way. It's not like I can't read the words.
Yeah.
It's just
Is that blank screen?
yeah. It's
Just been looking down every 2 minutes.
it's just like, I don't know, like maybe a picture book might help. I sound like a 3-year-old there. It's just I've never been able to do it. You know, it might be just a common trait of ADHD.
Right.
I'm not sure.
But
It's always frustrated me though, because I've
Yeah.
always felt like I'm missing out on something. There's so much information there.
To be honest, it can be a detriment. So, because you can end up being like a tinkering terrorist and just reading one book, going this direction, this book.
Yeah.
And I spoke. I interviewed a guy called Chris Tapper, and he was a Gurkha SAS, sorry, but he was also like a monk, like just an amazing guy who'd done loads of mad stuff, like climbed every mountain in the world and gone on these expeditions. And I asked him that question about books. He says, never read a book. He says, because I want my mind to be clear. He says, more input, the more fucking scattiness in your brain. Where I was like, well, he was like one of the wisest guys that I've ever spoke to.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what's your crack then? He's like, well, I just find a mentor like who's a couple of steps ahead of me, because then they just give me what I need when I need it. Whereas when you read a book, it's like you might need fucking 20 out of the 40,000 words that are in it. And I was like, it's powerful, that.
Well, that's it. I suppose it's how people retain information. For me, it isn't like visual.
Yeah.
It's more, what's the word? There's three, isn't it? Audio, visual, and like in person. Doing. Yeah, exactly that. So for me, I'd probably learn so much more if I went and listened to the author stand up on a stage and chat about his book than read the book, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I suppose the next bit I wanted to get onto was the impact board. I know that was previously Unbound, right?
Yeah.
What was that all about? What is it?
Yeah. So ultimately, it's a JV project with Chris Peace and Tristan, and me and Tristan did a JV project last year, which was like the original Unbound, and it was more like group online, like high volume, lots of people. I think we were like at 50 members or whatever, and we got kind of like about 9 to 10 months through the end of last year, and I just wasn't fulfilled from it. So again, probably going back to the no sunk cost fallacy, like it's making money, fucking quite easy to run because it was like a group thing online. So it was like one online session a week and then doing the odd like group meetup and stuff. So we created this portal with loads of training on and all that type of stuff. But it was a bit like, I was fucking not enjoying it. Because mainly that people weren't taking action from it. Like they probably want enough skin in the game. They weren't paying a fortune for it and all that type of stuff. And then just weren't seeing progress. Like I really get my kicks out of seeing people get results. So that's why like it's changed and it's more intimate now. Everyone gets face to face. Everyone gets bespoke stuff. Everyone gets one-to-one time. So again, we're doing the proper diagnosis process so we can help them and give them the right stuff at the right time. Whereas obviously when you've got 50 people, you can't do a diagnosis process with them all. So it was a bit like we needed to make that change. So yeah, it's great. We've got, obviously we're keeping numbers very, very limited because otherwise it's going to turn into the thing that I didn't want last year. So we're keeping numbers very, very limited. But we had our quarterly get-together, which is a bit of a peer-to-peer review planning session with them all where we get together. So yeah, they get the private one-to-one stuff, but I think it's still good to get a load of business owners in the same room. We're off to Lisbon for the next one, so that should be good. But it was fucking amazing on Tuesday.
So that was a strategy day, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What does that entail normally?
So we started off with a review. We'll ask some difficult questions. So I got the shit end of the stick here. So Tristan Tristan's big on obviously health, wellness, energy focus, which I'd like to think we all are as well, but he's like qualified in like breath work and all this cool stuff. So we started off with a bit of breath work, which when it's always weird when people first do it who haven't done it, it's like, what the fuck, is this a cult? Like, fucking, we're all sat there breathing. But actually every single person who experiences like, oh my God, I need more of that in my life, particularly busy like frazzled founders. I've never known anyone do some of Tristan's stuff and then they've not gone, fucking hell, this needs to be like a regular thing. So the day started with that, which everyone enjoyed. Then I did a review session. So it was ultimately a series of quite difficult questions where everyone would have a few minutes to write down where they were at, because again, busy founders, we don't tend to work on the business too much, so questions force you to go there and take your mind to those places. So we did a couple of hours of that, and everyone was sharing and all that, and that, like, everyone's fucked. Like, it's difficult. This is what I say, like, we have some good fun, and don't get me wrong, we go for a meal and a couple of drinks afterwards or what, but like I was like, this isn't enjoyable, guys. It's literally me just holding a mirror right up to your face there. But by doing so, a lot of good stuff comes out to it. So in terms of like the plan of attack for the next 90 days and all that type of stuff, it comes well. And then Chris facilitated an action learning session, which is kind of like they become the coaches, and it's fucking brilliant. Like, the way Chris does it is brilliant. So people bring up a challenge, and me, Chris, and Tristan, like, are there to facilitate, and everyone gets the opportunity to give advice, and the stuff they come out with is absolutely amazing. So the amount of like intelligence and advice and knowledge shared in one day is just like mind blowing. And again, genuinely, when we left that place, everyone was just like, I am fucked. Like, that was hard. And it is hard to be in that environment, because I've done it a lot in the past, being on the shoe on the other foot as well. Like, it's quite a mentally challenging day, but it's the work that needs to be done, essentially. But yeah, we had some food and some drinks afterwards, so we're all happy there.
So these are all founders in these strategy days, right?
Yeah.
So balancing building a business and personal growth, what would you say is the best way to protect your own energy?
Yeah. It comes back to similar to building a business. Like, a good business has a good set of systems. The important stuff is systemized, it's documented. We have rule books and all the rest of it. And listen, systems are there to be broken at times. But the best thing about having a system is when you're not feeling great or the business isn't working great, and you look back at your manual and you say, well, I'm meant to feel like shit, cool, I'll just start doing that shit again. So a little bit in terms of like managing yourself, like, I'm a big believer that we should have a set of systems. Well, we all have a set of systems ourselves anyway. Like, some of them are just in our head and like just automatic. But it's a case of like, well, if I want to sleep better, there needs to be a better evening system. Like, if I want more energy, I maybe look at my diet system.
Yeah.
But we don't do that in our personal lives, but I'm a big believer of that as well. And again, like, am I some like fucking human being who's got all this shit in order? No, not at all. Like, I'm busy. I've got parenting, work to think about. And do I drink too much sometimes? Yeah. Does my diet go off sometimes? Yeah. Do I miss the gym and like sleep shit sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah, but on that though, I remember you saying this, and it made so much sense. It's almost like you treat your life as like a boxing camp. Like you're in camp, you're training, you're working, you're not drinking, you're dieting, you're training, but then you sort of then, you know, you win your fight, and then you do have a few weeks where you can just sort of let yourself loose. And I think I remember you told me that, like, to me, because I remember feeling like, you know, I needed a blowout, but I felt guilty for it. You're like, go on, have a blowout.
Yeah, and it depends what camps you need. Like, I'm in different camps at different times.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in
different coaches as well.
Yeah, I've been in a very like hard working camp recently. Like, I've had a lot on and a lot of travel. Like, been here, there, and everywhere. Like Scotland, Manchester a few times, and then I try and take my son away most half term. So then like squeezed in a half term holiday with Harrison, and then got back and then straight to Manchester again for 2 nights. Like I said to you guys, like, I've not slept I don't feel like I've hardly slept in my own bed for ages. So it's been busy. However, so that's kind of been like a graft sprint. Do you know what I mean? Like a graft camp, and then it's understanding which camps you're in. Like, I know that now I need a little bit of probably a bit of a Zen sprint where I've got my feet on the ground, and I'm probably doing a little bit more breath work and meditation and stuff like that, because you can't stay in one camp for too long. But probably a point that you've not asked, but I'd like to make as well, is like, it's not fucking beating yourself up when you're working hard. Like, I think I speak to so many people. Someone messaged me today as well about, oh yeah, things are going all right, but, and I'm not saying this was right or wrong, but it was like, things are going all right, and my new business, I've got a couple of clients on board, but I'm being careful not to take too many on because, you know, I don't want to hit burnout. I'm like, what the fuck? You're a new business.
Go on, burn out.
You'll never burn out if you get good clients and your processes are good anyway, because you'll be enjoying it.
Yeah.
But two, it's like, there is this undercurrent that right now, in this day and age, where like hard work is demonized, and that
Hustle
makes
culture.
people feel like shit.
Yeah.
That makes people feel like shit. And this is something I have to work on with guys as well. I'm probably getting quite passionate areas. Like, oh yeah, I'm like, you can't fucking build something of real value and sometimes not feel exhausted Like, you can't have it all. Like, it's a case of, you've got to be conscious of that stuff, and it's like work hard, rest hard as well. But I think when anyone nowadays starts feeling that I'm a bit tired and I've been like working hard, it then compounds, because then they're beating themselves up about that. And I'm a bit like, I was fucking knackered last night. Like, I was on the sofa knackered last night. Tristan stayed over, like, just haven't stopped for ages. And I was like, and my mind goes there because we're conditioned. It's like, oh, I'm knackered, I shouldn't be working so hard and that. But I was like, no, fuck that. I feel proud.
Yeah, let's go and get a beer.
Yeah. I feel proud about it. So
Yeah,
you've just lit a match in me, and you probably didn't mean to there. But I think having someone in your corner where it's like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, I'm not saying just be completely unconscious and just go and burn yourself out and it causes health issues and stuff. But like, yeah, if you're working hard, like, you're gonna get a bit tired sometimes.
Yeah, you've got to push that limit. It's almost like an elite athlete. Talking about books, actually, Tim Grover. I know he wrote Relentless. See, I know about that book without reading it. You know, I know about The Obsession. Kobe Bryant's trainer, wasn't he?
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, a few of those guys.
Yeah. And
I've not read that, so
that's
I might
amazing.
I'm sure it's a good book.
First book I ever read that.
Oh, really?
Book. Yeah, I was like 17. Someone gave me that, and that's what got me into reading.
One of my clients makes all their staff read it. Sorry, mate.
Solid on the podcast.
Relentless. One of my clients makes all his staff read it because apparently it's just that good about it. What you're saying then, and getting passionate about, you know, like you've got to push that top end. It's almost like that threshold. Let's say you're training a muscle, right? You know, you might get some DOMs, you rest for a bit, but then actually you can go harder next time.
Yeah.
So it's actually sometimes you have got to get to that point. Don't burn out, because that is bad, but get to that point of burnout, rest, you could probably go a bit further.
But again, all the tools that come behind it as well, like can help you stay there longer, or actually raise that threshold. So that's when, for me, like I've always called it like the toolbox. So it's like, oh, how do you keep your head in the game? It's like, it depends at different times. So like for me, you've like developed a toolbox, what might be breath work. So if I'm feeling stressed, like 10 minutes of breath work sorts my head out. Like meditation, like making sure that you know the thoughts in your mind aren't you, so you can detach from them. Like exercise, all that stuff, it's like knowing what to lean on. And also just the mindset stuff in terms of like reframing your thoughts. So that pesky little thought that came last night as, oh, you're working too hard, you shouldn't feel like this, you're tired. It's like, and then you start beating yourself up, like reframing that as like, fucking be proud, mate. Like,
yeah. We're going to move on to like a quick fire round. Okay, so I suppose off the back of what you just said, Dan, with the toolbox, your sort of tech advice, automation, you know, LinkedIn, like, is there anything that springs to mind, anything that's been game changing for you?
I think it's just staying organised more than anything else. I think I probably wouldn't advise, like right at this second, I know like LinkedIn are clamping down on loads. Like a couple of people I know recently have like got some severe warnings from LinkedIn, and they're not even really using much automation. So I think right now there's going to be a big clamp down on a lot of the smart tools as well, and I think people use them wrong anyway. For me, it's always about being like staying organised and stuff like that, like and making sure you're efficient at what you're doing rather than just like
relying on tech,
automation and spammy shitty messages. So I mean, I even use like ChatGPT for like ChatGPT. I just fucking love it for everything.
That's the next question. Training ChatGPT. You opened my mind to that. Was a possibility. And it's been so helpful for me to express my thoughts, like even just confusion around sometimes like negotiations as well. Like, you know, I can just give it a quick summary and it does just tell you the straight answers.
Yeah, it's logic. It's got no feelings, has it?
No.
So it's great.
Yeah.
But no, I use ChatGPT for like literally every single area of business and every single area of life. And it's getting the most out of it. I think like obviously it's just a second brain nowadays. So again, all of these tools and technology, the same with anything that's ever come out, it's only as good as you use them all, essentially. Like automation can be great, can be awful, depending what the strategy is. Like ChatGPT, I'm sure like there's some real negatives to that. We know about social media, like the pros and cons of that. So like tools are great if used in the right place, aren't
they? Next quick question is commission breath. Talk to me about what that means. I know it's about desperation and just opening conversations, but I suppose it filters into us not using automation, which we don't actually use, do we? A lot of people do, but then if you remove that, people are like, oh, what do I say?
Yeah.
So
yeah, again, it's not about the tools. It's about the strategy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about the strategy and message. So back in the day, in the recruitment days, we used to like take the piss out of each other if we were wanting to hit target for the week or whatever. Like, yeah, absolute reeking of commission breath on that car.
I love that.
It's but it comes into everything, doesn't it? It's like the scale that is very popular in marketing and sales is someone needs to know you, like you, and trust you to make a decision. I think actually they don't really need to like you; they need to know you and trust you. Like, people still spend money with you; they might not particularly like you if they think you're going to get the job done. I think the missing scale from that, from a lot of like popular literature and stuff, is perceived value at the top. Like, someone like I know, like, and trust my cousin, but if he sells me Juice Plus, he's not getting my money because I don't perceive that as being valuable. And people often, like, if someone's begging for something, it's like, again, we can bring it back to dating, can't we? Like, if someone's a bit too much, it's like, like that perceived value just goes whoop straight to the other side. So, I think a lot of people, I think it's quite easy to win in sales right now. And it's not doing two things, like making sure you're more human than a bot, because everyone's just automating and sending botty messages and even automating personalizations and all that type of stuff. So be a human being. And then number 2 is just don't be beggy. Like,
Don't be a bag.
Yeah.
That's your summary. Next question will be good for you.
Yeah, I've heard you speak about the 4-stage founder journey before. That's something that I think you're putting some material together on.
Yeah.
Be keen to understand what you see as the 4 stages as a founder, for founders listening, of like, okay, what does it realistically look like? No bullshit, from step 1 to maybe stepping away and investing like where you are now.
Yeah, so I'll run through that quickly because it's probably something we could go in more detail. So number 1 is, I call it the self-employed founder. So ultimately, you're wearing all the hats. There's no leverage. Like, if you're not in work that day, you're making no money. Like, you are the job, and you own a job, not a business, basically. Number 2, I call it the general manager founder. So ultimately, you've got a small team or whatever, but you still got to be in, making sure things work in the right way. Number 3 is, then I call it the business owner, because then we've got the systems and stuff. And again, if you went on holiday for the 6 weeks holiday with your kids or whatever, you come back, there's more money, the business is still growing and working, basically. And then number 4 is like, well, if you've got to that stage and you're making money, it's kind of like the investor founder. So you're trading like your capital and experience for money, basically. And that isn't like tied to revenue goals, like, because some people, again, might want the yachts and be a billionaire. Other people might want to pay the mortgage off and a few rental properties or whatever. Like, you can do that with any business. You can have a few staff and get there. So I like it because it kind of like explains kind of the journey that you want to go on. Some of those stages are more difficult if you've just got like grander goals, basically.
And what are some of the big things in terms of getting from step 1 to step 4? Is it, I guess, having the belief in yourself that you can step away to believe in others that you bring in, that you've got the systems in place? Are they some of the key things?
Yeah, you're right. To be fair, like, a lot of it is mindset. Like, a lot of it is mindset that stops you then from doing the tangible stuff that you want to do. So typical stuff like, no one can do this as good as me. Yeah. Typically bollocks.
I suppose when you start the business yourself and you've seen success, you then move to step 2 and you think, okay, well, this success is solely because of me.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I do suppose
like
it probably
confirmation bias.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it probably would be hard at that point to think, okay, someone can do this as good as me, but they can if you find the right people.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember about that in business is, like, once we start hiring, we're hiring for tasks. Like, we're doing all the tasks, like so many of them.
Delegate.
So we're going to be all right with them. But if we're building a proper engine, we're probably like delegating this specific part of the engine. And if they're doing that task repeatedly day in, day out, like, they're going to get better than they might not be at first. And that's a problem as well. Like, no pain, no gain. Like, hiring someone and training them, obviously, even if you've got the best systems and processes in the world, there's still a bit of pain up front before they start you getting a return on them as well. So, it's not going through that short-term pain, so you can get the longer-term game on people, basically.
Nice. And then just 2 final questions while we wrap up. First one is just 3 bits of advice for someone building something right now. Just short bits of advice.
We're probably giving it all, haven't we?
But just summarise that, give us some wisdom. Couple words.
Time allocation.
Okay, that's one.
Is one. Managing your energy, and that's generally done by making sure that you're focused on a fucking future point and you've got some inspiration, because otherwise you're just struggling.
Third one.
And then number 3 is ring me.
Love it. And then finally, mate, what does beyond the hustle mean to you?
So I think obviously we spoke a bit about like the mindset stuff
Yeah.
in terms of like naturally talked about leverage in the beginning, and that is working smart. It's about working smart as possible, and hard work alone won't get you where you need to go. So that you need to work hard. We've talked about that, and it shouldn't be demonized. There's going to be periods where you're fucking knackered, and you're feeling stressed or whatever. But hard work alone won't get you anywhere. It's a case of like willing to do the reps, but make it smart all the time, and that comes with the leverage, which we talked about early days as well. And that's, obviously there's a lot of different leverage that you can bring in.
Again, back to what you were saying before, it's just getting under the bonnet, looking at the engine, and then seeing how that engine is engineered. And I think every individual should do that. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are big into your stoicism with the name of your business as well, but I think like one of my favourite quotes is, I think it's a Stoic quote, which is the unexamined life is not worth living. I think that's the first mistake. So we're not stepping back and looking at stuff, whether it's a business, whether it's our personal life or whatever. Like if there's a problem, normally the thumbs are pointing this way, and it's stepping back and looking, okay, what am I doing here that is 99% of the time causing the problem, or 1% of the time having an influence on that problem, because everything comes back here, and if we're not examining it, then we don't know what to do moving forward. So yeah, whether that's business, personal life, or whatever. I'll quote my mate Luke Duran here as well. I don't know if you know him, but he's a coach as well, good guy. It's a bit like, you hear people saying, oh yeah, everything's going wrong and the world's going wrong, and I'll nick to it for him. His quote is, if you're surrounded by cunts, then you're likely to be the one.
That's a good quote.
Marcus Aurelius was that?
Your best?
Yeah, that was. I think that was Gandhi actually.
What's your best quote? Do you have any good quotes?
From Stoicism, not really.
No, just like, just think of a quote.
Just think of a quote.
Just any quote.
You know what?
Proper on the spot there, innit? It's like
never eat yellow
put a
snow.
good song on. It's like I don't know any songs.
Which one will everyone like? You know what? In spirit of the conversation, probably fortune favours the brave. I think, like Rich has done, a year in, setting up Bold, had a year's experience. You've got to be brave and jump into some of these things, whether you're a founder, whether you're someone that's just working at a recruitment company and aspires to do it one day. Just got to jump into it, don't you?
I've just made up a quote in my mind while you were speaking.
Don't read books. Not bothered about others' quotes. Just have this one.
No, that's why I lined it up.
Yeah.
It might already be one, but if it's not, I'm taglining it. You've got to be hungry to eat. That's a good quote,
I've never heard it.
Think of it. You've got to be hungry to eat.
That is fucking fantastic.
No, do you think that's...
I think we should just stop the recording there and just switch
That's
everything
it,
off.
guys.
End it there.
We're out of here, Rich. Been a pleasure, mate.
Mate, loved
If
it.
I can reach over.
Good to see you both.
Yeah.
Cheers, pal.
Good to see you.
Cheers, mate.
Nice
Nice one.
Good to see you, mate.
See you in a bit, guys. That's
Adios.
it. Adios, amigo.